Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. JS Dwayne here. Today's date is July the 28th, 2020, and it's going to be the 29th soon. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my body image and how my body image impacted me towards this person that I am in today's society. As a kid growing up, I was not always, the skinny kid. I was always medium weighted, for a boy, I was always medium weighted, and I had meat on my bones because one time I remember my grandmother was telling me on the phone one time that, she used to call me chunky butt whenever my mother used to send her pictures of myself and my little sister, because my little sister was always skinny, and she's still skinny even towards today's society. My sister is very skinny nowadays, but with me, as a child, I was always chunky, and my grandma used to call me chunky butt. And at the time, I thought it was cute when she first told me this, but when I got older, I started laughing. I'm like, is my grandma trying to embarrass me? And I was like, why did she call me that? I know she was trying to be endearing and caring and stuff like that, but to me, as a grown up, I thought it was just so embarrassing because, like, why did she call me that? Because I had so much meat on my bones, or I was just chunky as a kid. And there's some children that is very chunky, as babies and as a child, and then when they grow up, they lose all their baby fat. So it will never become a big thing for them, or it's not really apparent to them, so it's not much a big deal to them. But as a child, I was always, medium weighted. And, it followed me towards my teenage years. And I remember one time this girl in gym class, she was like, you're shaped, like how I'm shaped. And I'm like, what is she talking about? I'm still growing into myself. I was still going through puberty at that time. I was growing, and my voice was changing little by little by little. So my body was already, changing, and she was already developed because girls grow a lot quicker than men do. And at that time, I was like 5'7", and I weighed 135 pounds. I was the same weight for, I think, 3 to 4 years, from the time I was 13 years old to like 16 to 17. I was always the same weight back then. And and I was medium weighted for a person that height back when I was 13, 14 years old and growing, and it didn't really bother me because I remember, when I was going to the boys' locker room, when the girl said this to me, I started laughing. I'm like, what is she talking about? Like, why would she say that to me? But we're cool now. But back then, it just made me laugh my behind off. I'm like, what's wrong with this crazy girl? Why would she say this to me? But she was mad cool with me in high school, and we're cool now, She probably won't even remember this, now as an adult. But if I ever saw her at the high school reunion in my hometown of Syracuse, I'm definitely going to bring it to her attention if I ever see her. But she probably not going to remember. But looking at it now, it was just so funny because it was just so long ago, but over 15 years ago. And I think a lot of people forget about that stuff back then. But I didn't forget about it because I still remember it because it was still part of my life. But it doesn't really bother me now. But, during that time, I always had like meat on my bones, and it didn't really bother me because my older nephew, he was skinny. My sister, she was skinny and tall, and I was medium height, and I had medium weight on me, and I had meat on my bones. So it didn't really bother me at all. It didn't really faze me. And then when I was still growing, I was still, confident within my own self. And I gained about 15 pounds, when I was 17. I was about 150 pounds. And, I love to eat. What person doesn't love to eat? I love to eat. And I remember one time I gained about, oh my gosh, about 40 pounds. Like I was 175 pounds at this time. I was about 17, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was so embarrassed. And I lost weight very quickly because my friend Emily, oh my gosh, I don't even think she's going to remember this. She gave me weight loss pills. She gave me weight loss pills. And I was able to lose weight within like a month or two. I think I dropped about 25 pounds within like a month or two. And I didn't exercise, regularly. The only time I exercised was in the gym, and I was able to lose that very quickly. And I was 150 pounds, and I still had meat in my bones, during that time. And during my college career, I was always skinny. I was 155 pounds, 160. And then when I used to do cardiovascular exercises, I lose more weight. And then my friends like, Dwayne, you look funny, skinny like that. And then like a few days later, I put on the weight more, about 10 pounds more than I was before, because I lost 10 pounds and then I gained it back again. So it wasn't, a big deal to me. But I was about almost 5'11", during my college years. And I'm probably about an inch or two taller than that now. But I grew slow as a child, and then as an adult, I was always skinny, and it didn't really bother me until it was this fatal mistake that I did back in 2012. I was 24, about to turn 25, and I remember this through the rest of my life. I remember my older cousin was telling me, Dwayne, don't do this because it's going to backfire on you and you're going to gain lots of weight. I was about 165 pounds, 170, for a guy my height. I'm a tall guy, so about 165 pounds, 170, not a big deal. I was skinny, and I had meat on my bones, and I carried it a certain way, and I probably had meat in the right places, but I'm not gonna say where. But I carried it in the right places. But I was always skinny during that time, and I remember I used to go to the Red Cross, every now and then. I used to donate blood, and then like every now and then I used to do plasma, every now and then. And plasma is like this yellow liquid that is in between the white blood cells within your body, underneath like your liver and your regular blood. And a lot of them will never tell you that you will gain weight that way at all. And my issue was, I did it too close within the 3 weeks. And this was 2012. This was 8 years ago. And I wish that I was told this earlier, because nobody at the Red Cross Center will never tell you that you will gain weight, or it will take a lot of energy out of you. And it took a lot out of me, where I started eating like crazy. I used to eat like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, spaghetti, macaroni and cheese, fried chicken. I used to eat up like crazy. And it was easier for me to pack on the weight. It was easy because I gained weight like crazy. I gained weight within like a month or two. I gained about, I have to say about 50 to 60 pounds. Like I gained weight like crazy. And then I remember my friend Vanessa, she was like, Dwayne, like what the hell happened to you? And I'm like, yeah, what the hell happened to me? Like you packed on that weight very quickly from the last time I saw you. Like I gained weight very quickly. And with me, it took me a long time to lose that weight, and I gained more weight. And with me, it made me feel so insecure because I was not used to being over 200 pounds, like for a person my height. And I carried it well for someone who is about 6 feet plus. I carried it very well, and during that time, it made me feel so insecure. Like, oh my gosh, I wanted to lose weight very quickly. And throughout the years, I was more comfortable, being heavy set, and I was able to carry myself in a very good way. I was able to carry myself very properly, and I was more comfortable in my skin as a heavy set person compared to how I was when I was thinner. And it just made me so insecure throughout the years. And I just remember, feeling uncomfortable, and I just want to lose weight because I'm not used to this. Because there's a lot of people that grow up, heavy set, or what you call it, fat. But I'm going to say heavy set. People growing up that way, and I didn't grow up, heavy set. I was always thin. more medium weighted because I had meat in my bones as a child, and my older cousin was warning me during that time, do not donate plasma. It's going to make you gain weight. And his niece worked at the Red Cross at one time, and her bosses and managers there didn't tell her about the plasma apparatus. They didn't tell her during that time. To after she quit the job, that's when me and him told her about the plasma donation and stuff like that. And then she found out about the situation, and then she quit months later after we told her what plasma donation will do to you. Like most of these people, they don't care. They come there, donate, and go home, and then every 3 months, they do it again. Like it's like a repeat. There's some people that did it, and I did it only 3 times within that year, and I never did it again. I said, oh no, because I think I regret, doing that because, like why? Because when I used to go to the doctor's office, like I remember my therapist and my doctor used to say, let's step on a scale. And like I didn't even want to, but in my doctor's office I have to, especially when I go into the doctor's appointment, I have to. So one time I stepped my foot up in there, and the doctor was like, oh my gosh, you lost 30 pounds. Like, you did good. I was like 220 pounds, during that time. And there's a lot of people on YT that knows that I weigh that much because I told them. But they was like, you're tall and you carried it well. So it's not going to be a big thing for you. And it's not a big thing for me at all. And then, during my recent videos, especially when I was congratulating everybody towards hitting towards that milestone towards getting 2,000 subscribers / followers, I realized in my video, I was like, oh my gosh, I am losing weight because I can see that my chest is getting slimmer. And I just noticed that in my recent video, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really slimming down. And I'm like, dang, this quarantine, it had me really losing weight, and compared to how in the past I was struggling to lose weight, and I had to really change my eating habits and the way that I eat my food. But recently, when I was looking at my 2,000 subscribers, congratulations video, I was like, oh my gosh, my chest is getting slimmer, my arms is getting slimmer, and like altogether, I lost about 40 pounds. I really did. I'm still in my 200s, but I lost, about 40 pounds. I'm about 215. I lost a lot of weight within that time period. Because I remember in one of my videos, before I did my live streaming, I remember, wearing this black shirt and my chest was like poking out. I was like really buff. I was like really buff, and I was so uncomfortable when I looked at that video. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that, I didn't really change my shirt. But looking at it now, it didn't really bother me, but it bothered me because I'm not used to, being heavy set and, and having that type of body image. Being skinny is very different from being heavy set. Very different. And I think the highest that I ever weighed was 255 pounds. Like, I was just so uncomfortable, and it made me feel very insecure, and it was just sometimes where I didn't even want to record a video sometimes or take pictures, but I just let that fear go. And I think being heavy, during that time frame made me more comfortable in my own skin compared to weighing 165 pounds to 170, during that time. Like, I think the last time I was that weight was about 8 years ago, but now I'm really slimming down now, and I'm looking at my chest right now in my video, and I'm really slimming. Like, I'm really slimming, and I'm doing some walking exercises, and I'm not really running, like I did before, because it could really attack your heart. So I'll walk a little more, and when I did that trail video, I was really walking, and I was sweating like crazy, doing that trail video. So at least I got my exercise on a little bit. But during that time, it just made me feel so uncomfortable, where it just made me feel some type of way. And as an adult, I was heavy set, throughout my mid 20s to early 30s. I think I hit the obese trail from 25 to like 31. I was heavy set for almost 7 years, and I just didn't know how to stop it from happening. And I feel like I have to really change how I eat, and I have to exercise a little differently, and I probably have to put myself on a diet or something like that. And there's some men or women out there that is comfortable being heavy set, and it's within their blood, and their families are like that too, and they don't have no issue with it. But I was so uncomfortable, being heavy because both my parents were heavy, not heavy, but both of them were skinny. And then my mom, had diabetes, and she started gaining weight. She gained about 60 pounds, so she, suffered, during that time between me and my sister. So she gained a lot of weight and started having health problems, and she had diabetes. And she didn't know how to control her diabetes and what type of insulin to take, during that time. And I didn't want to be, a diabetic. But it doesn't matter what size you are. You could be skinny, medium, or heavy set. That disease still can run within your veins. And I was thinking about that because I remember one time I was, in this parade in Rochester, New York, in the city of Rochester, and I remember this heavy set guy. He was laying on the bench, the chair that he was laying on that he got from his house, and it was really hot. It was like 80 degrees, like it was like blazing hot, and the guy was sitting there, and like the guy got a heat stroke and he died like instantly from like the burning sun. Like he was like right there on the hills of the baseball field where the parade was going on in Clarissa Street in Rochester. He was sitting there, and he was heavy set, and like he suffered a heat stroke and he died like instantly. I don't know what happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go through that myself. So I have to really take precautions towards taking care of myself and knowing my worth, and knowing that my body is my temple and I should treat my body that way. And I wasn't really thinking that when I was gaining weight like crazy. And it just, I think, gaining weight the way that I did, it really threw me off my game. And I feel like I wasn't myself. But throughout the years, I was heavier, and it just made me more, comfortable within my own skin. But as I mentioned earlier, like just as of recently, when I looked at my recent video and I saw my chest slimming down, a little, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really slimming down a little bit. And it's not that bad. And, if I do become skinny again with a bunch of exercising and a lot of effort, and I know I will, because I haven't been, 165 pounds in about a few years. And I know probably once I become skinnier in the near future, I'm probably not going to be used to it at first, but probably within the next few months, I'll be more comfortable, in that skinny skin, sooner or later. But I got to work on myself. I'm about 215 now, and I'm not ashamed of it, to tell you guys how much I weigh. But it's okay, and I'm human, and so are you. And I guess you learn from mistakes. Learn from your mistakes donating plasma, and I learned my lesson to never ever do that again in my life. And that's how I gained all that weight, throughout the years. And it was a struggle, losing that, because I was medium weighted as a child. I was chunky, and then I was skinny, but I always had meat on my bones. And then when I hit 25 with the plasma donation, I started gaining weight like crazy, and it made me, feel some type of way. And I had to get bigger jeans because I couldn't wear a 34 no more, so I had to get like a 40 or a 42. So I'd be able to fit into my jeans a lot more better compared to how I did in the past. So I learned my lesson to never do stuff like that ever again in my life. And my body image was like up and down. It was one size to another size to another size. So I went through 3 different sizes. I know how it feels to be a thin guy. I know how it feels to be a medium skinny guy. And I know how it feels to be heavy set. Like I've been all 3, and all 3 of them doesn't really bother me and doesn't really faze me at all at this time right now. But the more I lose weight, I'm becoming more comfortable in my skin. So we'll see what happens in the near future once I slim down. You know, it's not going to be an easy journey for me, but I know that everything will be okay with me. All right. Peace and love to everybody, and you guys have a very good night. All right, good day, people, and peace to all.